twabagambako nga 16 nti ab'ebyokwerinda bakutula fensi yaffe y'amasannyalaze ne bakutula zigeeti zaffe ne bayingira mu compound nga ennyonyi ya poliisi yebayambako okutukolako bw'obulumbaganyi naye tebasobola kuyingira mu nju era ne wayita ebbanga ne bagezaako okukola ekintu kyekimu naye tebasobola basooka nakuba enduula abantu b'ekyalo baavaayoko ne badduka naye jjo abantu abo bakomyewo nga bamalirivu bazze nga bangi ababadde mu yunifoomu z'amagye abataabadde mu yunifoomu z'amagye badde balina obukookolo ku feesi badde balina emmundu buli omu ku bo yadde alina emmundu ng'eriko zimagazini n'amasasi mangi abamu babadde bakutte ennyondo alala nga balina zimagalo alala badde balina emisumeeno byebyo bye nasobodde okulabako I'm sure byabadde bingi asikari yabadde alina waali kifo kyaffe waliwo woobeera oluusi abantu ne batamanya nti wooli nankubira essimu nga ndi mu nju naŋŋamba abasajja bangi bendaba wano bali mu kuyingira ku luno bagenda kumenya nnyumba. I opened the door to the veranda to get at least a video, some evidence, because such a number, I knew when they come they'll take away every kind of evidence. So I took a video and sent it to my son and told him, Solomon, these people are here, but this time it's a bigger number, it's a different group. He said, can I post this? I said, please post it. Then I called our other son. I call him son, but I called Dax. Dax is Bobby's younger brother. I called him and said, Dax, this is the end. He said, what do you mean? I said, these people are here. So I locked the bedroom and then I walked downstairs. They had already put ladders at the front of the house. On those stairs, they had put ladders and were climbing to come to the veranda of our bedroom. So I locked the bedroom and walked down. Then I went to the bathroom, the general bathroom downstairs, and I called one of our neighbors. Everyone I called actually picked up very fast. I told him, we are in trouble, please alert the neighborhood. In that moment, they started saying in Lunyankore, Igura. Then I came out of the bathroom and came to the sitting room. They were in the windows. Every window that you see on that house had like 7 people peeping through it. They said, Igura. And I said, Tinkuza ku Igura. Literally meaning open. And I said, I'm not going to open. Then I sat on the stairs. And they broke the door, broke the windows. A swarm of men, big muscles, height so high, they looked the same. When I looked down, they had almost the same shoe size. That group is a group that is selected. You can see that they selected them according to height, to weight, to size, to color. And they belong from one tribe. They all swam in. At that moment, I looked down on the floor. Then I could see footsteps going to different directions of the house. Some going to the corridors, some going to the lounge, and some bypassed me on the stairs, and went upstairs. Now, in that moment, one of them came and told me, come and sit in the chair. I got off the stairs, I sat on the floor. Because in that moment, I wasn't sure my knees would allow me to stay in the chair. I sat on the floor. So he walked behind me, knelt behind me, and said, give me the phone. And I did this, I gave it to him. Then he said, remove the password. I said, I'm not removing the password. He said, in Runyankore, password. And I said, password ndajihem. Then he walked past me with the phone, went outside, talked to some people, came in with 4 men. Extra. Already the sitting room has more men standing, some with hammers. Each one of them was armed. I have never seen such firearms. New, fresh. So ignore the other like 40, 50 that were in the sitting room. He called in new people. They came. When they came, he went back behind me. I was wearing my husband's nightie because these days I was feeling like I can't wear my nightie. Something is going to happen in that night. So I was wearing a biker, and on top of it, I was wearing a nightie. So he held the trousers of the nightie and pulled me up. Then he held the shirt of the nightie from the back. He was using one arm. So he held it, then he brought the phone in front of me and said, remove the password. I said, I have told you I will not remove the password. The one that he came with held me in the neck here and lifted me off my feet in the neck like this. So when he lifted me, in self-defense, I kicked him because he was in front of me. So I kicked him in the groin, and then he walked away. This one pulled me, the buttons of my shirt broke, and he stayed with my shirt in his hands. Now, I just walked away from them and went and stood in one corner. But remember, this is a house full of men. Some looked away. Some were unbothered. One of them said in Luganda, nedda nedda mama muddize essaati ayambale. Then one of them held his hand and walked him out. One of them picked the shirt and said, put up your hands and I dress you up. I said, I can dress myself up, give me my shirt. Gave it to me, I put it on. Of course, the buttons were not on. And then I sat down. When I sat down, they lifted me again. Now, this time by these, because I plait these when I'm going to sleep. That same man held me by my hair, lifted me up. We have poles in the sitting room, and hit my head on the pole and slit my mouth. So when he hit me, he pulled me down and sat me down. Then he pushed my head and I went down, and they sat on me. I could feel 4 bodies seated on me. Then he said, will you give me the password? I said again in Unyankore, you have already done enough. You are not getting the password. There was someone who was like commanding them. He came in, he said, what's happening here? He said, leave her alone. Then I sat. Meanwhile, in that moment, they were already upstairs, creating havoc. The ones who were outside were beating our askari and the other boy that we live with. Some other group was already in our helper's room, picking her up from her house. Now, they bring her, she's holding her cross and her Bible. She is new, she doesn't know anything. They ask her, where is the controller room of these cameras? She said, I am new, I don't know anything. They bring in the askari. They want to take him upstairs. He says, I have never gone that side. I don't know what's there. They ask him, where is the basement? And he said, I am new here. I know nothing like the basement. They ask him, where are the children? And he said, the children went for holidays after Christmas. Where did they go? And he said, I don't know. So in that moment, they were already picking the camera controllers. They were already picking the MiFi. They were already picking all the phones in the room. They took AirPods, chargers, power banks, hoofers, radios, anything electrical, laptops, everything. These people were drunk. The house was stinking. So in that moment, I realized that it was not going to end. They took the girl out, they took the askari out, and then they started asking me in Nunyankore, so you brought your brother to run on the Kampala MP seat. Did he win? You think you can just bring foreigners and bring them in Kampala and think they will win in Nunyankore? And then another one asked me and says, Okashwerwa mwinazi w'omuganda abanyankore okota kubareba. You got married to I don't know what they call a mwinazi. What do they call a mwinazi in English? A mwinazi is like a traitor. it's like the worst person that there can be in the world. He said, you married that traitor of a Muganda. Were you not seeing the Banyankori? In that moment, I think out of rage, I started feeling dizzy. I started feeling hot. I asked for water. They brought me water. Those same people gave me my water. I drank it. And then the next time I got to see myself, I was sleeping in a pool of vomit on the veranda outside. And they were gone. So it is the Askari who drove me out and brought me here. In that whole mix, we still had the police, which has kept me under house arrest for 8 days. The other thing they kept asking me was, where is your husband? I told them I don't know where he is. They said, before we beat that round head of yours, where is your husband? I said, you can do whatever you like. I don't know where he is. They even asked the same thing to the Askari. And he said, he went to vote. He came back the next day. I didn't see him because I work in the evening, so I don't know what time he left. That's how it was. But by the time they left, they had broken all the doors. They had broken all the windows. You'll see the pictures. They had pulled down the TV. They had caused havoc everybody everywhere, pulled my children's clothes out of wardrobes, pulled beds out of the room. They had scratched the walls. They took anything that they felt was of value. So this group was a group of murderers. It was a group of thieves. They took all my phones. One of the main reasons was to look for my husband because his phone has been home. I switched it on yesterday because there is a password I was looking for. And then that was like at around 3. So I think they got a signal of his phone, and then they were sure he was home. But he had left his phone behind. So they were looking for him. When you consider that, they were looking for him. Also, they came to terrorize me, to put me in this situation so that wherever my husband is, he can come out. I want to encourage him to stay wherever he is. I am okay. I can take care of myself. And the other thing, they came to steal our property because they stole everything valuable that we have. Those people even stole my child's artwork, Subi's artwork. They pulled it out of the drawer and asked me, what is this? I said, it's Subi's homework and her artwork. They packed it and went with it. So they stole anything and everything they could put their hands on. Money, AirPods, chargers, power banks, phones, laptops. There's something else they took, but it is illegal these days. I can't say it is. But we had a lot of other electronics that we had bought before they made the Elon Musk, whatever, illegal. So we had switched it off. So when the Interreligious Council came to visit, that day they allowed us to go buy food in the market. And that was 7 days later. So our boy was allowed to go to the market. That's how we got some food. So we bought enough, and we have been surviving on that. That is after the Interreligious Council came to visit. Yeah.
Will you be going back home? Are you afraid? Because of whatever happened is very difficult.
I am afraid. I have just started seeing the bruises I picked from last night. But I am going to my home. As soon as the doctor says I'm in shape to go home, I am going home, first of all, to fix everything that they brought down and to go home, because that's my home. So, first of all, like I said, I'm afraid of, this is traumatizing, whatever happened. These were hundreds of men on one small woman, me, because I was alone in the house. That is traumatizing enough. Now, normally when they come to homes, it is well known that they plant guns, they plant illegal stuff, which they would want to come back later to say they are sweeping your home and check, then take away with them and take you along with them. We are afraid, of course, they could have planted something because they came at night, they came in the dark, they took away the cameras, they switched off the electricity. So anything could have happened in that time, inside and outside the house. We will try to sweep the house when I go back, but you can't rule out the fact that they planted something at home. So I came here, my pressure was so high, and of course right now is when I'm feeling the pain of the strangles that I got. I have some bruises on my thighs. Unfortunately, I can't show you. And this you can see, my neck, and a slit on my lip because they hit me on the pole in the room, in the sitting room. So that's the most I can show. But some I feel already, because they were holding my hands. My hands are swollen. My arms are swollen. As time goes by, I get to feel a little bit of more of the pain, because when the body relaxes, that's when you get to feel most of the pain. But I'm on painkillers, and I've had some anxiety medication. Maybe the doctors will explain more. Of course. They spoke with Nyankole. They asked me where Kabobi was. They talked about a brother of mine who was running for Kampala Central MP seat, who is Rubongoya and who is actually a brother in Christ, his family, but we are not blood related. They asked me where Bobby was, and you know who has been looking for him, who gave him a 48-hour ultimatum just recently, and who told him to come out of the latrine because nobody was looking for him. And I am sure he actually is looking for him actively.